Hi, my name is Meng and welcome back to a fourth episode, which is going to cover styles and theme library. So styles are essential to set up a strong foundation for your design system in Figma. They can be shared inside the library, which your whole team can use for their designs. And when you use them properly, you can keep your typography, your colors, and assets consistent in your app design, even when multiple designers are working on the same files. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a new design system file. We're going to go back to our menu, and here inside design code 3 we're going to create a new file, and we're going to name it design system. Let's create a new frame again, pressing F, going to desktop, MacBook Pro, and here we're going to create one for colors. As usual, the first thing we want to take care of is about the grid. So we're going to go to this specific frame, and we're going to click on a new grid, set it to 10. But now we can basically save this as a style. So we can click on this icon here, which is represented by 4 dots, and then click here, click the plus sign, and it's just going to be grid 10 point. Create style, and now it's saved to your styles. As you can see, when I click outside, these are my global settings, and in the local styles you'll find grid 10 point. Now let's create another grid. I'm going to click the frame again, but first I'm going to remove this one. Click the plus sign again, and here I'm going to change to 8 instead of 10. So once that's done, I click on the 4 dots, click on a plus sign, grid 8 point, and voila. So I have 2 grid styles now. If I click outside, I can see that I have those 2 local styles. Now going back to my frame, I can switch between the grid easily like this, and that's really nice. Now let's talk a little bit about colors. So here you can see that you have the background colors, and usually these are very neutral, very in the background. It doesn't need to scream at all. And we just have one that is light and one that is dark. And that is super important when you want to have really good contrast, or when you have light and dark mode. And then we have the text color, which are usually contrasting the background. So this would be against the white, this would be also against the white, but can also be against the dark. So you have to have a really good contrast ratio. So the text colors are usually black and white, but to set up the structure, sometimes we're going to use dark green and light blue as well. And now we have the button colors. Usually you want to have something that is more vibrant, because this needs to call your attention. Typically it's used for links, for buttons, for your branding, for example. So sign up buttons, login buttons, and even the header to set up the branding will use some of these vibrant colors. And then you have the gradients, which are mainly used to complement the button colors, to add depth and personality to your design. So let's go back and create a bunch of shapes. I'm gonna set up the grid to be hidden. Then I'm going to set a rectangle of 280 by 200. Now I'm just going to open one of the design system files so that I can have a reference for the colors. Click on colors and press Shift 2 to zoom in, and then I'm going to just pick the color here. Now this is a style, so I can always go to the code tab to get the properties. So I'm going to do that for this one and paste it in the hex value like this. Duplicate this 40 to the right. I'm going to get the color and change it right here again. Now this is very redundant, so I'm just going to copy all of these rectangles to here and just move it at 40 distance from the other ones. My canvas is a little bit too small now, so I'm going to click on colors, set it to 1340. So now I have enough space. Another thing that I want to point out is that when I copy and paste these rectangles, they seem to have styles, but these styles are actually not available locally. So when you copy and paste from another document, it doesn't bring necessarily over the style that should be embedded as a local style. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that all of these styles are detached using this. So I'm going to detach. Secondly, I want to show you how to add your own styles. So similarly to how you do it with the grid, I'm going to go here, create a new color style. I'm going to name it dark blue. And then this is going to be light gray. So if I click outside, you can see that it's been added to my local styles. The other thing to point out is about gradients. For those of you who are used to Sketch, you need to know that Figma has a different way to store gradients. So for example, if I detach this from the style, I'm going to click here and this goes to the gradient. But what I'm noticing is that these preset colors don't have gradients. Instead, they should be stored as styles. So I'm going to click on this icon and create a new style for my gradient and name it purple violet. Now you can see that if I want to apply my gradient somewhere, I just need to click on my styles and then click the gradient. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I'm going to add all of these styles. Okay, so now I have all my color styles. I can reorder this one because I created before. And I can right click if I want to edit or delete. So that's pretty neat. I'm going to select all of these rectangles and set it to 100 from the left and 100 from the bottom. I'm going to create a header, which is going to be 1440 with a height of 240. And here I can already use my first style, setting up to purple, and then let's name it to colors. Set it to 80 in terms of size, SF Pro display, bold. Let's have the C capital. Set 100 from the left, align these two in the center, make the text white. Cool, so I have the first part of my design system done. Let's duplicate the colors frame using Command D, and now let's take care of typography. I'm going to delete all of these rectangles and start from scratch. Now in my design, I've been using a bunch of these text. So the title, for example, has 60, and this has 30, this has 18, this has 20. So all of these values need to be expressed in the design system. So let's start with the titles. So we're gonna have heading 1, and this one is gonna be 80 first. We're going to have another one which is gonna be 60. Make sure to change that here. And since they're titles, we're gonna keep all of them bold. Let's create one for 30 and one for 24. So again, these are for titles. Now we need to do something for the body text. The body text is where people are going to spend the most time reading. It's typically set at regular, but we're also going to have an alternative to those texts so that we can use them for captions and subtitles. So let's create those. We're going to set the first body text. It's going to be called large text, and it's going to be at 24, but we're going to set it to regular. Then we're going to set 4 more of these. The first one is going to be the medium text, and it's going to be at 20. Then the caption at 18. Normal text at 16, and then we're going to have small text at 12. It's really important to note that when you're using the SF font, when the size is 19 and smaller, you have to set it to SF Pro Text and not Pro Display. The reason why is that if you set these sizes to their actual size, so 18, if it's text versus display, then it's a lot less readable because there's too little space between the letters. So it's best to use SF Pro Text so that it's more readable. There's more space between the letters. So I'm going to do the same for all the other ones. 16, 12, 20. Another thing to note is that for the caption, we want to use all caps. So we can go to advanced type and set all caps like this. Now I'm going to move all the text here to space out a little bit against the headings, and I'm going to distribute equally vertically so it looks nicer. I'm going to create a copy of all of these and set them to semi-bold. Let's just add semi-bold. And finally, we can add them as text styles. So we're gonna go to the text layer in the inspector, click on this icon and create a new text style. We can use exactly the same name as what we have for our text layers. So heading 180, and you can just copy and paste the text one by one. So one thing to note is that you cannot have mixed elements, one bold, one all caps. The whole thing needs to be, let's say, all caps, and then you can add that as a text style. So already we can start using our styles. So here, for example, it's gonna be headings, and I'm gonna use the 30 and set it to, let's say, a dark green here. And for this one, it's gonna be body text. Let's align them properly. So let's say 100 from the left. Same for these ones. And these ones. All right, so far we have colors and typography. It's definitely a lot of configurations, but you will see how much time you will save once you have the design system done. So the next part is going to be about shadows. We're going to duplicate this and set it to shadows. Remove all of these elements. So the Figma styles feature is not limited to just text and colors. You can even store effects, which are drop shadows, images, background blur, grids, and so on. It's really powerful and it's really convenient to set the foundation for your design system. So let's do that for the shadows. We're going to create a rectangle of 280 by 180 and set the corner radius to 10. And then here we can set the effects as a drop shadow. And like I said, I love 20 and 10 in terms of Y position, and I like to set up to 15% to make it a little bit more subtle. Let's make the background white, and let's set a hover state. So the hover state is going to be double that, so 40, 20, and we're going to make the shadow stronger to 25%. And this is going to be used for the buttons. So buttons, again, I'm going to use styles. We're going to have another one for the cards. I'm going to duplicate these. For the cards, I'm going to set to 30, 15. And then 60, 30. And for each of these, I'm going to save as styles. So I can go to Effects, click on Effect Styles, and add a new one. So now we have these drop shadows, and we have one for the normal state and another one for the hover state. So it seems to be floating away a little bit more to give a sense of depth and to have a nice transition when it's reacting to the mouse cursor or to taps on mobile. So we're almost done with setting the foundation. We're just missing starting assets for the design system. First, let's rename this to shadows, and let's duplicate this. Rename it to assets, and delete these. And when we think about assets, we think about backgrounds, but we also think about avatars. So let's go here and create avatars. Let's make them 60 by 60, and you can obviously use the assets that are provided by going to image and choose image. So for example, avatar 1. But you can also go to uinames.com and press spacebar to get these samples, including the names. So you have the name here, you can press spacebar to get to the next one, and you can save the image. For the first avatar, I can change the image to the one that I just downloaded and pick the name, and when I'm going to save as a style, I can just put the name of the person, and there you go. The next time I can decide to use this avatar in my design, and the way that I did it is completely adaptive. So let's create a few more of these. Let's add a title. So this one is going to be avatar. Set the color to dark green, and then this one is going to be for backgrounds. For the backgrounds, they can be anywhere from cover images or content images, pictures of landscape, and so on. In this case, we're going to use 3D images that we use for Design Code 3. I'm going to set this rectangle to 380, 225, and a corner radius of 20. The corner radius really doesn't matter. We're going to set the image again, and we're going to use the Figma assets like background 1 So let's do the rest of the backgrounds. Once we have the backgrounds, let's not forget to add them as styles. Cool, so we're basically done creating our design system foundation, which includes the local styles, the colors, the assets, as well as the effects and the grids. And this is going to be so useful when we start designing consistently within the team. Now let's try and share that to our team. We can go here in the team library and we can decide to publish this so that anyone in the team can have access to this library. So I'm going to click publish, add my description, and then publish. Now going back to my design file, I can go to a library and I can decide to enable this. And you can see that I have access to all the styles and I can decide to use them whenever I want. So we have prepared so far the foundation of our design system, and we've decided to share it in our team so that anyone can use it as a team library. In the next session, we're going to take this to the next level. We're going to use components and nested components, so things that are way more complex, that have so many elements together, but that can save so much time to our team when we create these elements that are more intricate. Thanks again for following along, and I'll see you in the next episode.